Aloha and welcome to Java. Thank you kindly for joining. It is September 27th, 2024, and it is Friday. So with this, we've got quite a bit to cover today. If you're new here, I hope to catch you up to speed pretty rapidly because there is so much going on. So with this, I would like to go ahead and start with what's going on in the markets and before wishing you all a great weekend. So starting with the main risk indicator, the MMRI currently 236.3. Now we're in high territory for risk. And I would point out maybe a bit more today. We're looking at a fear greed meter. It is in high greed territory where are beginning to borderline extreme greed. Now, being a natural contrarian, this is a good spot to start looking for pullback. We've got a few things going on here, and it being Friday, there will be expirations the end of the day, and a lot of people profit taking or moving to cash prior to this weekend. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. So with these going on, we look at the 10-year yield and relative strength of the dollar. Now, these have both been in decline with the announcements of the Fed, the cuts, and the market has been soaring on this. Yesterday was a bit of volatility, and today it looks like they're about to gain a little bit of strength. So stocks at the moment in the green. We're expecting core PCE coming out in a bit. We know the numbers will be slayed. But with that, we'll be hearing from Fed presidents later. So right now, we've got stocks in the green, and we're looking at the futures, are looking at a little bit of trouble ahead, volatility later today. So keep your eyes on that. We've got a few other things that could affect this. The first one being there is no prime minister that is being appointed in Japan. Now, I've spoken about the yen carry trade unwinding. This is not done. Not even the bulk of it is done. It is only beginning. So there is a lot of this hovering in the background. So if it seems as if they will strengthen that yen, that will pressure the dollar further. So we could watch some distortions in the market due to this. We'll keep an eye on that. Another thing I want to bring up is I've been speaking about banks, smaller banks, medium-sized banks. More must close or go out of business in one order or another. So we've got banking mergers and acquisitions set to take off after these Fed rate cuts because the deal values are soaring. So what has gone on with this is all of the loans that the banks are carrying that they've been struggling with, now that the rates have cut, this has immediately changed valuations, and that is allowing mergers and acquisitions to happen at a much more rapid pace. So we're going to see more of these happening, I think, prior to the next ending of the next month or so, prior to the elections happening, and that could have an effect as well. So we'll be keeping an eye on the banks because that could have a definite effect. Everybody's starting to talk about black swans again. We don't know what those are. We just know if we can expect it, it's not a black swan. So with this, we've got a current sentiment, the relative strength of the dollar and 10-year yield as they grow in strength. Basically, that will pressure stocks. Watching that PCE numbers come in, and with inflation and jobs down, we are expecting more rate cuts. The European Central Bank, ECB, is up next, are expecting them to cut. If they cut their rates, that's positive for the European stock market, negative for the euro. Euro will weaken, which could strengthen the dollar and pressure US stocks even further. So it's a little complex, but when you break these down, it basically works like a seesaw for the amount of strength it can have. It's the money flow. So if it's heavy on one side, will flow to the other in the shift. So with this, I'd like to mention PayPal, not financial advice, but they're moving into a couple of different sectors. One of the larger one moving forward is payment systems. Now, PayPal already has global setups. They've already set up also for cryptocurrencies. So with this, they're trying to kind of gain venture into the business side of this. And as they do this, very positive for that company. So with this, I've also got a side story here because we've got artificial intelligence focused cryptocurrencies basically outshining the pack this week. They're talking about tokens in specific. But as a sector and looking at this overall, of course, artificially intelligent linked tokens, coins is the huge buzzword, but also it is the technology moving forward. So when you're talking about exchanges or anything of the likes, that will be the focus. It's not private, but it will be the faster mover, if you will. So let's move into our calendar, what we're expecting. The PCE numbers coming in prior to market open, as well as trade balances, which if we dig into the numbers, which is what I'm going to do, is going to tell the story of what is going on globally between the trade networks, because that is a huge story that is not being spoken about. And then, of course, we've got our Fed presidents coming out to save the day if necessary. With this, I'd like to go into another specific here because it encompasses both the labor issues that are going on, as well as labor costs, which is wages in the United States, as well as larger corporations. And it's Boeing. So the union declined the vote on the company's offer for changing with their union details as far as their pay and other things surrounding it. So with them declining this, Boeing is pushed into a bit of a corner. They've still got some things going, but what I think this is going to push them into further is actually going to be subsidies from the government. And when that does, there's going to be a shift, as well as the Federal Reserve, the government, come to the rescue of all of us. Speak about that in a moment as well. So we've got the White House announcing billions in new Ukraine aid, new F-16 training, more rounds of security to boost them. I believe it's $8 billion. They are basically spending all of the budget they possibly can prior to the shift in political structure that may be coming down the road. Now, with this, we've got Congress barely okaying a 3-month budget extension, avoiding an October shutdown. Now, politics at home and the budgets for the United States being shut off while they're funneling over $8 billion to the Ukraine war. So how do you feel about that? They've also put the $12 billion for VA medical budget for veterans in limbo, so cutting short these fundings back domestically while funding wars abroad. Just keep this in mind as they're sending you to the voting booths and also with all of the propaganda that is coming out. So with this, I mentioned ECB is going to cut their rates as they do on the French and Spanish inflation. Pulling back is saying they need to boost their economies. They're using the euro to do it. And when they do this, this is across the board for them since they have a single currency agreement. So with the ECB, watch these cut bets. They're coming through, boosting the European stock market, could possibly hit the US market a bit. Okay, let's go forward into what's going on with cryptocurrencies. Payments, currencies, all shifting. There is major currency war going on right now. I've spoken about this, but in case you're new here, we've got a couple of things in play. The first is crypto adoption in general. Now, you're moving forward to a central bank digital currency, whether you like it or not, already on the payment rails for one. So basically already kind of utilizing one as we speak. So they're just going to shift the back end portions of this. But what they're saying is crypto adoption is stunted by lack of technical literacy. Basically, people don't know how to use it. And this is a little graph here of the different reasons why people don't invest in cryptocurrency. Now, if you are not invested in this or not aware of how to, I urge you to educate yourself, because if you want to have an alternative outside of the CBDC coming, this is your only method. This is going to be your only backstop. You must educate yourself in your alternative. We've got ways with this through Discord. We can help. Leave comments if you need to get in there, because I can't leave a public link right now. But I will invite you to our Discord group so that you can ask us questions there. A lot of brilliant people. So with this, we've got BRICS looking at PetroYuan for oil trade. They are going to a de-dollarization push. Now, this was just announced by President Vladimir Putin. Basically, the BRICS developing their own payment network. They've already got this basically running in place. They are putting in the few finishing touches, if you will, and then also negotiating the agreements with how they're going to use this. So basically, the PetroYuan, it tells the tale. They are using the Chinese yuan as well as oil in the backing for funding these so they can do direct trade. So this will cut out, in effect, any of the economies in the West, which basically means US dollar and the euro will be cut out of this system. And this is all with sanctions and the wars going on. So I've got one other thing I would like to speak about. This is the Department of Justice. They've got a debit suit going on with Visa. So trying to upend their revenue models, basically they're blurring the lines between buy now, pay laters, loans, and Visa and MasterCard as credit cards. This is going to affect the rates they can charge, which is basically usury. So they're charging 29% on interest rates for your credit that you're spending. And the credit right now is how most consumers are getting by, definitely in the United States. So if this comes to pass, and this is the main way that consumers can spend, and it's cut off by the banks, we'll see an immediate backlash. We'll see immediate business closures as the spending will halt. Okay, a couple of more things I'd like to cover. We are moving towards tokenized asset market. To hit 10 trillion is what Chainlink has done with their report. And basically everything will be moving to a tokenized assets. So this is why I'm urging you to educate yourself on this before they tell you how it is. You can either educate yourself and be aware of these systems and how to work outside of them, or you can wait until they build these for you, build your solution, and tell you how you're going to move forward in the future. So with this, we've got an advanced artificial intelligence system already self-aware. Now, this is a new ASI alliance, and I'll start speaking about this a little bit more because this is also going to decide all of our future, basically moving forward. Now, the reason this is important is I'm going to give you an example right here. OpenAI, which I'm not a huge fan of the way that they run their businesses. Now the technology absolutely moving forward. However, what they have done is they raised massive amounts of money under the guise of it being a not-for-profit and always being for the good of humanity. Now they are reversing that. It's going for profit. They have thrown safety and security concerns to the side in light of looking for profit. And with all of this, the one who started all of this, Sam Altman, is now set to get a 7% stake. This will make him an immediate billionaire off of basically what I think is fraudulent claims to begin with. Elon Musk is also upset about this, saying that this is deeply wrong. He was in on this on the ground floor, and also most of the team that was in with this, with the security issues and basically voicing their concerns of this, are leaving the company. Now it's in deep ties with Microsoft and moving forward. So with this, I think that's enough about that for the moment. I wish you all a wonderful weekend. Going to miss you, and until I see you again, my friends, stay free.